Welcome to the Explainer. So today, we're diving into something that's honestly kind of mind-blowing. We're going to look at this group of absolute geniuses who literally shaped the modern world. But get this, they are all mysteriously tied to one single incredible date on the calendar. June 28th. Now, it might just seem like another random summer day, but it's actually one of the greatest dates in math history. And here's why. On this exact date, across completely different centuries and stretching all over the globe, brilliant minds were either born or passed away. And they left behind these massive legacies that quietly run the world we live in today. Let's meet them one by one.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever wondered how we actually know if the algorithms that judge us are fair? I mean, think about the apps you use every single day. How do they decide what news you see, who gets approved for a loan, or even who gets a job interview? It's a huge question, right? How do we keep human bias out of cold, hard machine logic?
Well, our first genius, Alice Lee, born June 28, 1858. Back in a time when the scientific establishment was totally dominated by men, Lee took on this monumental challenge. She didn't just argue against the prejudice of her era, she actually processed massive amounts of complex anatomical data by hand. Can you imagine? She used rigorous statistics to definitively prove that skull size does absolutely not determine human intelligence. By stopping that bad, biased data from being used to falsely claim women were inferior, her early dedication to mathematical truth really paved the way for the objective, unbiased data models we so desperately need in today's algorithms. She basically proved that math is one of our absolute best weapons to defeat prejudice. Her big realization was this: the true source of intellectual ability will have to be sought elsewhere, rather than in mere size or weight. It was just a monumental victory for objective data.
Okay, so we're still on June 28, but now let's jump exactly 30 years forward in time on our timeline, 1858 to 1888, to a completely different kind of mathematical puzzle.
Think about this for a second. Where do the digital numbers you type on your phone keyboard every single day actually come from? Every text we send, every coordinate mapped out, every calculation made, it all relies on a numbering system that, honestly, we completely take for granted. And that brings us to our second genius, Bibhutibhushan Datta, born on June 28, 1888.
Datta's story is just absolutely incredible. He actually abandoned all his worldly possessions to become a wandering monk. But while he left materialism behind, he spent his entire life passionately chasing mathematical truth. He dedicated himself to tracing the ancient origins of our modern numerals, and that includes the wildly revolutionary concept of the number zero. He definitively proved that ancient Hindu mathematics built the very foundation for our entire digital world. Without the ancient numbers he meticulously tracked down, our modern computer processors wouldn't even know how to begin counting.
It's just an amazing realization to sit with for a minute. Every digital number we type is an ancient piece of history hiding right there in our pockets. Crazy, right?
Let's move to 1928 and see how this builds. Same date, exactly 40 years later, taking us right to the dawn of the computer age.
So, have you ever wondered how Siri or Alexa actually learns to talk to you? How do they adapt to your voice and even anticipate your needs? Like, how do these cold, metallic smart assistants get so remarkably good at sounding human?
Well, that mystery connects to genius number 3, Gordon Pask, born June 28, 1928.
Pask was way ahead of his time. He looked at the massive, clunky early computers of his era and saw them not just as giant calculators, but as potential conversational partners. He pioneered what we now call conversation theory. It's basically the concept that human-machine interaction is a dynamic conversation where the human and the system actually learn about each other. Instead of just giving a machine a static order, he believed we should be in a dynamic feedback loop. This exact philosophy is literally the fundamental backbone of how machine learning and personalized algorithms adapt to our unique habits today.
This was a massive paradigm shift for artificial intelligence. He realized the machine must learn about you just as you learn about it. That idea single-handedly turned computing from a one-way street into a real dialogue.
One date, so many interconnected stories. But to find our final genius, we're taking a massive leap backwards in time, zooming all the way back to 1796. We're going to meet a man whose life actually ended on this very day.
Think about the sprawling metropolises we live in today. How do modern engineers calculate water flow with enough precision to stop entire cities from drowning in sudden floods? Like, how does math actually help us survive nature's wrath? That brings us to our fourth genius, Antonio Mario Lorgna, who died on June 28, 1796.
Lorgna didn't just study math in some quiet, dusty classroom. He took it out into the wild. By applying advanced concepts, things like statics and hydrodynamics, to wildly unpredictable, chaotic rivers, he actually figured out the math required to model and tame flooding waters. His intensely practical work gave engineers the specific formulas they needed to safely build the dams, canals, and levees that protect our massive cities today. His equations literally keep our modern infrastructure from washing away when nature strikes.
And this brilliantly illustrates his life's work. He knew that, before we can build our cities, we must find the mathematical pattern hiding in the chaotic waters. He looked at disaster and just saw an equation waiting to be solved. So, take a step back for a second. Look at how all these brilliant, disparate minds connect across the centuries. From 1796 to 1928. From anatomy to ancient numerals. From AI conversation theory to civil engineering. They are all uniquely anchored to one single line on the calendar, June 28.
So, the crucial point is this. What is the mathematical pattern hiding inside the chaos of the real world? Because despite all their massive differences in time, geography, and discipline, every single person we met today used numbers to seek order in the chaos.
And because they were brave enough to ask exactly that question, our world today is built on fair data, ancient digital numbers, intelligent assistants, and resilient cities. The math is quite literally all around us, just waiting to be discovered. So looking at the world around you, what pattern will you find next?